These are some of my clothing recommendations coming into this autumn and winter. We're going to start with some of the staples and we'll work from there. Now, starting with trousers. Generally, most people expected to see a shift towards more of a kind of slimmer silhouette in the trousers, but I think we've kind of seen the maintenance of a very baggy trouser staying in. Maybe not to the extent that you would have seen at its peak, but we're still seeing this kind of very baggy silhouette in the trousers. Skinny jeans aren't back in just yet, so if we're kind of building it from basics, we want to think of a kind of very versatile trousers that we can wear as often as possible. In my recommendation would be kind of like a baggier dark jean that can kind of be dressed up or down, and the darker wash kind of works better in this season. From what I've seen, the dressy look is still very much in, with those kind of like baggier silhouetted maybe pleated trousers or striped trousers still very in. So I'd recommend trying to find like a versatile trouser that you can build the rest of your wardrobe from. Next up are kind of top layers. So fundamentally, to master the kind of balance between practical and stylish dressing, we'd want to be able to layer effectively. So you're really going to want to invest into pieces that you can layer effectively with in autumn and winter, especially if it's warmer. I think tank tops are an excellent versatile piece to help as a base layer. These could simply be worn under a sweatshirt if it is warmer outside. It should be able to keep you warm enough without getting you too hot. Obviously you can always stick with your basic t-shirts, but when it does get particularly cold, we can switch over to thermals, especially if we're not going to be taking off layers. Then we know we can use these to keep ourselves warm, and they're not going to really be seen. But generally the look of your thermals doesn't really matter, as most of the time you won't be taking off any layers. With t-shirts, you just want to stick to the basics. However, in these colder months, I'm really liking the look of a longer sleeve t-shirt. And these also have the kind of added benefit of being functional. If it does get too hot, you can always roll up the sleeves. Next up, overlayers. With this dressy style being a lot more in, we're seeing a lot more of this kind of layering of pieces again with like shirts. Very easy would just be like a button-up shirt over a tank top or a t-shirt. And with these shirts, it doesn't always have to be kind of a formal dress shirt. There's a lot of kind of variation you can have. Obviously a kind of classic staple is a plaid shirt, but you could also go for something a bit more like heavier weight, like a chore jacket. And if it gets particularly cold, they do some quite heavyweight wool kind of over jackets. Next up, shoes. Then we're going to want a good mixture between versatility and functionality in our shoes in autumn and winter. Obviously boots are very popular as they kind of do keep you a lot warmer, and they're a lot better in wetter weather conditions. Also been a bit of a shift to loafers. Obviously these have been in for a good few seasons now, but I still think they're very much in. Really good if you just want to kind of pair them with a t-shirt with that kind of contrast between maybe a dressier bottom and like a more relaxed top. Still also seeing more of a shift to a slimmer silhouette shoe. I know those taekwondo style trainers have been getting a bit more popular. So again, it's just that very kind of slim silhouette in opposed to a chunkier sneaker. I'll put some recommendations on the screen and in the description. Next up, hats. With hats in autumn and winter, I think the two main ones you do see are caps and beanies. In terms of beanies, just try and find one that fits you and fits your kind of vibe. I personally quite like the Arc'teryx beanies, but it just depends on your personal style and your wardrobe and what you're trying to like build out from that. In terms of caps, these still can be worn in the autumn and winter months. You just need to kind of be more selective with them, but just try and make sure you're styling them appropriately. I personally quite like the kind of more dressy look of a long coat, kind of made more casual by a cap. Again, you can look for old or kind of vintage caps. As long as it fits your wardrobe and your vibe, I think you should have no issue styling them. Lastly, in terms of coats, there's obviously the practical element where you want to make sure you're sufficiently warm, particularly in colder climates. And there's also the kind of layering, dressier component to it. In the earlier autumn months, I think something like a Carhartt jacket, like the Detroit work jacket, can be quite good as a balance between keeping you warm and also being quite stylish. These are quite timeless pieces that I don't personally think they'll ever really go out. However, they have been quite trendy the past few years. So I think these kind of longer trench coat like jackets are also very popular. Quite like the contrast again between a more like dressed down outfit and a more formal kind of coat. Lastly, for those particularly cold months, obviously you're going to want to be practically dressed. So that's when I'd probably recommend something like a puffer jacket to make sure you're thoroughly warm. So hopefully this video has helped you build out your wardrobe for the autumn and winter months. Now in terms of putting these pieces together is a topic for another video, but on that note, I'd like to thank you for watching, subscribe if you enjoyed, and goodbye.